So we were discussing about the Tamra Basma and the importance of Tamra being absorbed in the body and causing various health benefits to an individual. For us being in Ayurveda and that also being into the group of Rasa Shastra, it is definitely very essential to say the absorption mechanism and also the therapeutic properties of copper is really amazing. And we have discussed already many reasons of why copper is so benefited in an individual. Added to that, when we read the next shloka from the Rasaratna Samuchaya, chapter 5, and the shloka number 63, wherein he speaks about a particular phenomenon, wherein he gives about the factors like tamram tikta kashayakam cha maduram pake atha viryoshnam sa amlam pitta kafapaham is the one which he's been explained about the pharmacodynamic part of it. How does it happens in the body? What happens in the form of a parivartana? What happens is a form of a parivartana in the body, and wherein he explains about it is a tikta kashaya pradhana rasa and madhura vipaka. It is ushnavirya, and also it is having a specific benefits in the clinical conditions like amla pitta and kapha roga. Amla pitta and kapha rogas. So whenever you speak about either of such clinical pathologies, here tikta kashayakam, in the sense the way how you have to understand is tikta and kashaya therapeutic actions, whatever is being seen in the tikta rasa or the kashaya rasa, the same therapeutic properties is also being appreciated by taking the tamra basma. Because in Rasa Shastra, the basma is said to be niswadu, that is one of the paka lakshana. So again in most of the shlokas he explains about the tikta kashaya rasa and some other rasas are being prescribed by the various acharyas. It doesn't mean like it is having some taste. It doesn't mean like it is having some taste. A physical taste is not being seen. Instead, it is having the therapeutic taste. The falashruti what you have by taking the tikta rasa dravya, the falashruti of how the kashaya rasa dravya sevana will lead to an individual, so or the properties of taking the tamra basma of this method of preparation. And these are the basic guna karmas. And added to that, it is, even though it is tikta kashaya rasa, it is having madhura vipaka. And that is the reason it is said to be one of the best rasayana dravya. People say around there is no rasa guna, virya, vipaka, prabhava and all for the rasa aushadhis. But every shloka in any of the falashrutis, in any of the classical textbooks, it is given about the rasaguna virya. We have to consider only the therapeutic advantage or the therapeutic value of that rasaguna virya vipaka, not on something else, not on the physical taste, not on some other benefits of it, We are supposed to consider the therapeutic effect of it. Even though it doesn't taste to you by taking tamra basma orally as a tikta and kashaya rasa, the therapeutic benefits of tikta and kashaya rasa are being very well appreciated by taking tamra basma. This is the way how we have to understand it. Added to that, it is ushnavirya, and also it is very much beneficial in few of the clinical conditions which has been explained. As you can see here as amla pitta. This is a falashruti of the drug which is explaining after the shloka of Amrutikarana. Amrutikarana is being explained in Rasaratna Samuchaya 5th chapter 61 and 62 shloka, and this is the 63rd shloka which we are discussing now about. And he's explaining, once you do the Amrutikarana of the Tamra Basma, these are the basic qualities of Tamra Basma. These are inbuilt qualities. These are inbuilt qualities of, or these are in general Tamra Basma qualities. You are bound to have the therapeutic benefit of these gunas or these clinical benefits of Tamra Basma. This is what he is saying about. So he tells about the kapha pitta, the disorders related to that of amla pitta, or amla pitta like conditions, which we have already discussed. You have any gastric disturbances, mucosal erosions or ulcers in the gastrium, or any conditions wherein there are vitiation of the doshas in the amashaya or in the pittashaya or either of the gut reasons. This is one such a drug which rectifies it. This is one such a drug which maintains it. This is one such a drug which maintains it. And that is definitely going to give you lots of benefits in this particular way. That is amla pittapaha. It is going to reduce the conditions la amla pitta. This is an excellent drug in Parinama Shula, which we have discussed in the morning. This is a drug which is going to control all the three doshas we have discussed already. This is one such a drug which is going to balance all the three doshas. Balance all the three doshas. This is also being discussed. And added to that, one thing which I would like to get to your notice is, he tells about the next word as Jatara, Kushta, Ama, and Jantu. And the therapeutic properties related to it. You have the Jataravyadis. In case you have the Jataravyadis, means the disorders related to the GIT. And in any of such disorders related to the Jatara or the Mahashrotas, the drug like Tamrabhasma is specifically been indicated. The next thing is about the Kushta. And while discussing the Kushta, we have already discussed the benefits of Tamra in the Kushta, especially in the conditions of Vata and Kapha Pradhana. Here in the text of Tamra chapter is explaining the benefit of Tridoshaja, but still it is very well clinically appreciated to see Kapha and Vata Pradhana Kushtas. Tamra is a drug of choice. Tamra is a drug of choice. As you see in case of the clinical conditions where you have an elevated patches on the skin, as you can see in case of the higher stages of psoriasis, you have a macule-like of presentation or crust-like formation, the crust-like formation over the skin. In such a stage of psoriasis, which is coming under the Kushta, Tamra is said to be the drug of choice. Tamra is said to be the drug of choice. Where you find the Tridoshas are being involved for sure. Added to that, it is Vata Kapha Pradhana. It is Vata Kapha Pradhana. And in all those conditions, we are supposed to give. And that is the reason, again, you have here Kushta being one of the therapeutically indicated condition as claimed in the shloka number 63. Added to that, he speaks of Ama. Ama is a very, very wide spectrum disease. Ama is a very, very wide spectrum disease, and it is having a lots and lots of clinical inputs. Ama is one such condition which can be prescribed in many conditions, because we find Ama in various disorders. It could be autoimmune disorder, it could be at various srotas, it could be at multiple levels, it might not be in one place, it could be at multiple places. The Ama can affect the Jhataragni, the Ama can affect the Dhatuagni, or also with the Bhutagni. So in either of the clinical conditions, whenever you have Ama is a root cause of the disease, and Ayurveda believes Sarvan Rogo Mandagno. So most of the disorders, because of the Mandagni, Ama sets in, and once you have the Ama which is being set in, the person will land up into various disorder. And this is the reason Ama in the conditions, you are covering almost all the disorders. That is the reason why in the previous shloka he tells about the Sarvaroga. This is one such a drug which acts on Sarvaroga, which is acting on Mahavyadis, which is acting on various clinical pathologies. And that is the benefit of Tamra. I will say, in case if we can have various Anupanas, in case if we can protocol with various Anupana, this is one such a drug which is sufficient for your clinical practice. At least you can combat with at least of around 70% of your clinical practice can go with Tamra. And this benefit of Tamra is said to be very essential just because of the reason it is an effective drug to remove the Ama. Might be Ama is the one which is causing the clinical pathologies like that of Sangha, because it is clogging the vessels, it is clogging the Shrotasas because of Ama. That is, a Sangha pathology is being ruled out. Once you have the Sangha, then the tissues of the body or the dhatus of the body or the doshas of the body tend to go to the Vimarga Gamana because the passage is closed. Then they try to go to the other places. The possibility of the drug or the possibility of the doshas and the dhatus to go elsewhere. It causes Vimarga Gamana. Once it goes to Vimarga Gamana, there, which is not a natural phenomenon, which is not a physiology of the body, it is a pathological condition, which causes the body to go and have a abnormal tissue changes there and leading to ati pravrutti like clinical pathologies, ati pravrutti like clinical pathologies. And this is the reason why you have some of the places where you have srava, where you have something like diarrhea, or where you might have some other pathologies where you have ati pravrutti. And in case if it is not been addressed well, or in case if it is not been taken care of, it causes to some multiple channeled blocks, and these multiple channels blocked at various reason. Might be it is one of the reason why people have taken as Siranam Grantayah. You are causing the blocks at multiple places by which the Sira Ama is going to happen. In the sense it blots, it enlarges, it bulges, and it is causing Siranam Granthi. So this is one such example. You have various ways of the causing of the disease, but this is one such a pathology because of the ama as an initiating cause. It causes the pathology at various facets. And by removing this ama at any stage, much of the things will come back to its channel. It is just like you are watering the through a pipe, and you happen to clog the opening of it once the water is being flowed with. Then what happens? There is a pressure which is created within the water pipe. There is a pressure created within the water pipe. That is one sort of pathology. You have totally blocked it. There you have caused sangha. It is something, it's a literal meaning I'm trying to give, not a exorbitant sort of a explanation. It is a very simple method how I'm trying to explain you. And the other thing is, it tries to see that you have some minute channels in the pipeline which are being broken, or it tries to sprinkle out of it. Might be it is causing in the form of Vimarga Gamana. It is finding its way wherein through the pipeline the water tends to flow out. It is Vimarga Gamana. And this is not the way, the right channel for it to flow. It was supposed to come from the opening from one end. Instead it started to flow heavily from the other side, from the other passages, making its own ways in the sensitive parts of the pipeline. Then this particular phenomenon, it is being taken as ati pravrutti. And by doing this, what happens? There are multiple blocks, like the pipeline tends to break at many places, and it causes multiple complications. There is a sort of an enlargement. There is a sort of a block. You can find a sort of a internal pressure which has been created. Might be one of the substantiation for the Siranam Grantayah. So many such clinical pathologies can be taken, many such clinical pathologies can be compared, and this is because of the avarodha which is being done by your hand, or in the body it is because of an ama. And this should be relieved, this should be removed. And that Ushna Guna, what you have, which you have read in the shloka, that Ushna Guna is one such a character of the Tamra Bhasma which is going to remove this sangha, which is going to remove this block. Once this block is being removed, all the tissues knows to go back its in original position, in its original pathway, by which much of the clinical pathologies will turn back to normal. And this particular phenomenon is being well addressed by giving such drugs like Tamra. And one more thing I would like to say, it depends on even the drug which you want of choice. Say for example, I have many times discussed with everyone stating like the anupanam or the method of preparation of Bhasma is very important, so that you change the therapeutic action. You want it to be to have a sort of a amapachana like thing. However, this is amapachana. Tamra it itself is amapachana, but giving it in a small dose and achieving the target, you can associate it with by giving Pipali Churnan Madhu as an anupanam. Along with the tamra, so that Pippali and Madhu will also benefit in Ama-like conditions, because Madhu is Ruksha Guna, Pippali is again Tikshna, it is again Ushna. So it is definitely going to remove the Sangha. It is going to remove the Ama there. And Tamra will definitely, it's a divine force which is making the whole channel to become totally normalized. So this is way how you can take. Say for example, once you have removed the Ama, then you find some changes in the patient. You find some changes in the patient, like you might have a Nirama, you have Sama Amavata, you have Nirama Amavata. So you can differentiate the clinical conditions like Sama and Nirama. You can refer the textbook for the therapeutic index, what differences you need to see in both the conditions. Similarly, Ama Nirama Avastha is being seen in every disorder. In every disorder, you can observe Sama condition and Nirama conditions. And once the person is started to shift from Ama to Nirama, the next thing what you need to do is the Ama or the Sangha or the blockage is being removed now, or it is started to melt, or it is started to relieve. Next, you need to shift the Anupanam there, which most of the people don't do it. Say for example, the person was taking Tamra Basma initially for some time with Pippali Churna and Madhu. Then Tamra is beneficial in the form of Ama Pachana, Deepana, Pachana, and everything was being done. You need to change the Anupanam there. What you do, once you find the person converting from Sama to Nirama, you convert the Anupanam into Tambrasma should be given along with the combination of Triphala like drug. You can take any drug which is having Srotosramsana, which is opening the channels, which is making a normal flow, which is removing the moderately built obstructions. It's not a total Sangha now, because there is no Ama. The person is converted clinically into a Nirama stage now. The person is relieved from the acute condition. The person is not having any Ama Lakshana. The person is not having any Ama Lakshana. You need to definitely give him diets and regimen. It's not like I'm asking him to not to go for the diets and regimen. He has to follow the diets and regimen. Added to that, change the Anupanam now. What you need to do, give some Srotosramsana Dravya like that of Triphala. So Tamra Basma with Triphala to be tagged in and given. Triphala as an Anupanam can be given to such patients. By giving it along with the Triphala, there what happens? The person's Srotasas will start to have a Sramsana, a start of a easy movement. You had lots of the doshas and dhatus being accumulated all these days. Now you are permitting it to move around. Now you are permitting to go in a normal way. You are channelizing it, you are regulating it now. So by giving Triphala, what happens? All this is being channelized. Srotosramsana has happened. Another benefit what you have, Triphala is also having something called as Vatanulomana. And many times for the Rasaushadis, whenever you want to plan up to give any of the Rasaushadis, I emphasize all of them to tag it with some Snigdha and Anulomana substance. Then you don't find any clinical complications, at least in most number of cases. Why you need to give Snigdha? You need to definitely give Snigdha. It is therapeutically Snigdha, no doubt. But Samskaram Gunantaradhanam, we cannot forget even this. You have given some 30 putas, 50 putas, 100 putas for some drug. Prior Rukshata, because of so much of Agni Sanikarsha, you have increased the Ruksha quality there. Even though the drug basically it is Snigdha, the Basma is having the therapeutic property as Snigdha Guna. But because of Samskaram Gudantaradhanam, you have given some 30, 50 or 100 putas, you have increased the Agni Sanikarsha, you have increased the exposure of the drug to that of Agni, by which Praya Rukshataha is being increased. Possibly the Ruksha Guna is being inbuilt there. So we don't want to increase the Rukshatva in an individual in the clinical condition. Say for example, the person is a Sthaulya patient and where the pathology has been clearly identified as Kapha, Medas, etc., which has been built, or it is Santarpanotha Vyadis, you might not add the Snigdha Anupana. In case if it is not, then to counteract it, what you can do, you can mix some amount of Gruta or Kshira or anything depending on the person's personality. whether it is Vata, Pitta, Kapha, or what is the Prakruti of him, what is the Vikruti now. So based on that, you can suit some Snigdha Anupanam. It could be a simple milk, not a problem. So some Snigdha Anupanam and Anulomanam. You need to give that Anulomana. People speak about giving metals or the dhatus in Rasa Shastra as they are heavy metals. The word seems to be heavy because they have spoken heavy metals, and we are super influenced by the modern science stating like they are heavy metals. I am not asking my patient to eat a rod of copper. I am giving him Tamra Basma. What did I do to Tamra Basma? I have processed it. I have given a sort of a Sukshmatva in that. Sukshma Guna is been inbuilt. I have given so much of Agni Sanikarsha. One of the Basma Siddhi Lakshana is Lagutha. You have inbuilt the quality called as Lagutha. So by inbuilting this quality of Lagutha, what would have happened? The property of the drug is being altered as a Lagu Guna. It is no more heavy metal. I might be named as an illiterate if I say these are light metals. They are not heavy metals now because I have changed its property. I have changed its property. It will be foolish on my part if I call it still a heavy metal. People speak, Tamra Basma you are giving. Oh, that's a heavy metal. I say it's a light metal now because I have changed its characters. I have given some 50 putas. I have given some 100 putas. I have increased the Laghavata in that. That is the reason why you have the Lagu Guna being inbuilt in the Tamra Basma or any of the Dhatu Basmas in general. And because of this particular quality wherein the Laghavata or the Lagu Guna is been inbuilt, the drugs many times might not have a property of Vata Anulomana, which is also a chief source of treatment. Any disorder the person is coming to your clinic, you are supposed to associate with Anulomana Dravya. Because get Vata to Yathasthana. Vata is Adosharira. And the best means of getting the Vata to control is Anulomana. One such a process is called as Anulomana. You have beautiful Vatagna Dravyas. The fancy of Rasaushadhi is something like they're having a combination of Kapha Vatahara. Because normally what happens whenever you see in most of the other combinations, might be it's a formulation or herbal drugs, where you have, if it is Vata Kshaya, it does Kapha Prakopa. If it is Kapha Kshaya, it does Vata Prakopa, because they are antagonistic doshas, which is observed. And the combination of Vata Kapha Kshaya or Vata Kapha Hara or Vata Kapha Vruddhi, both together, the combination of set of drugs seen in other groups like in the herbal compositions are comparatively low. I'm not saying that they are not there. They are definitely there, but they are moderately low. When you read the textbook of Rasa Shastra, you can find n number of drugs which are there in the textbook or Vata Kapha Hara. They are Vata Kapha Hara. Their antagonistic properties are being balanced well. You have many such clinical conditions where you need to control both Vata and Kapha together. So this Vata and Kapha to be addressed well in the sense, to control well in the sense, we have to adopt the drugs like Rasaushadhis. Then you see the fancy of the treatment. This is an advantage. This is a boon for us being into Ayurveda and that also into the department of Rasa Shastra, wherein we become the best clinicians. We become the best clinicians because we got some drugs of these kinds, which is something like Vajrayudha. They are just like Vajrayudha. So by giving this combination, what happens? The Anulomana property is also not been seen. If it was Guru Guna, or if it is having an inbuilt quality like Anulomana, as you can see, some of the Anulomana Dravyas are explained in Rasa Shastra as well. As you can see, whether it could be Kampilaka, it could be Kankushta, it is Mruddharashringa, it is Jaipala. These all are Anulomana Dravyas, no doubt. It's not like we don't have Anulomana Dravyas. We do have Anulomana Dravyas. But still, all the drugs whichever you have might not have that property of Anulomana. So whenever you have such things, the combination could be given with Anulomana. The combination could be given as with Anulomana. As you can see, one such combination is Avipattikar Godanti Mishran. Wonderful combination on earth. I have. Whenever I want to give any of such basmas, I give it Avipattikar and Godanti Mishrana. This I have learnt from my teacher, Dr. Muralidhar Sharma sir from SDM Udupi. He always prescribes most of such basmas with Avipattikar Godanti. So this Avipattikar Godanti is a beautiful combination because Godanti is having Snigdha Guna, Godanti, it is having a sort of a catalyst-like property. It is palliating, it is protecting your GAT. In case if you did not do any proper Shodhana and Marana, might be you have taken the Basma outside from the market and you have given it to the patient, you are suspecting about the genuinity of the drug, because we don't know what's happening there in the pharmaceutical companies. Whether if it is a genuine source, then it is fine. In case if it is not, then you are always having a question mark whether it causes some problem to my patient. That's very important. So on that grounds, whenever you give this protective layer called as a Godanti Basma, it doesn't allow the drug to have some wrong impact or corrosive impact on your gut mucosa. It is not going to have some adverse reactions in your gut mucosa. The first sign which any metal or any basma or anything to show in your body is the irritation to the gut. That is a prime focus, because you are giving some foreign substance, you are giving some toxic substance, you are giving some apakwa basmas. Then the first symptom is GAT presentation. The first symptom is a GAT presentation. It has to show mild, moderate or severe GAT disturbance. Mild, moderate or severe GAT disturbance. So that disturbance is being arrested by giving Godanti Basma. Instead of neutralizing it, it is a very good catalyst. It's a calcium sulfate composition. It catalyzes the substances. It catalyzes the therapeutic property of the prime drug. And added to that, Avipattikara Churna, which is anulomana, and also it is very safe for the oral administration. So this combination, you need to give around 2 grams of Tamra Basma. I would like to prescribe for 1 or 2 grams per week. So what I do is I mix up Avipattikara Churna 25 grams, Godanti Basma 25 grams, add 2 grams of Tamra Basma and triturate it very well and give it to the patient. Ask him to take half spoon twice daily. Might be mix it with water, mix it with milk, depending on the patient's condition. This is the safest way of administration of the basmas into the patient. They are very safe. At least, I don't know, because I prepare my basmas by myself. Most of the times, I don't know really if at all some complications can occur by giving any of the drugs. Or else, I don't have any problem in administered, at least in my previous 18 or 20 years of my practice. I haven't seen any complications by administration of any sort of rasaushadis to my patients. And 80% of my practice is through rasaushadis. And I haven't found any problems in my patients at least. So this is one such a benefit which we can definitely see in most of the clinical presentations. And this is the significance of the drug which is having amahara or amapachaka. This is one such a thing which gives you a combination of ama. Next thing is it is explained about the jantu. Jantu in the sense something like krimis. Jantu in the sense it is something like a krimis. Might be it is being taken as any of the clinical conditions wherever you have microorganisms which are being affected. The root cause, the etiology, it could be a virus, or it could be a bacteria or anything else of that kind, wherever you have krimi, jantu or krimi, or either of these things. It could be a virus, it could be a bacteria or anything, any external source, any a living or semi-living component which is affecting the body. I take it as krimi, I take it as jantu. So if at all it is causing some problems in an individual, we are supposed to prescribe them with the drugs like Tamra Basma. So there what happens, it is also very, very well established. This is also very well established. You know, it is because of these krimis, you have an infection called as H. pylori infection. And here this is one such a drug which is already been indicated in Amla Pitta and Parinama Shula, which we are discussing. So this is one such a drug, and usually what I do is if I have a patient of H. pylori, I try to give him with a single drug trial of Tamra Basma. So I give him with Tamra Basma alone. I find tremendous response in the patient, and I have a significant control of the H. pylori infections of the gut. H. pylori infection is immediately coming down. When I spoke about this particular issue with a gastroenterologist, he said to me, yeah, of course, any heavy metal is definitely going to kill the virus. Then why you people did not prescribe it? You would have prescribed it. So this alteration you have, But we are prescribing. I am having a wonderful response in my patients with H. pylori infections, and added to that, I do have even their histopathological studies being done before treatment and after treatment. I find there is a significant reduction not only in the clinical protocol, I am having a significant response in them even in a histopathological reports. Only thing is, there is no fun that you give tall claims. The only aspect is you have to prove them clinically. That is the only way to come out of this panic conditions where you have the wrong notions of taking Rasaushadhis into clinical practice. And the only way is convince not some authority or convince not somebody else. You have to convince yourself, convince your patient, and try to see what best you can do to your patient by the administration of any of our Rasaushadhis. So this is the one which I would like to get in respect to the name or the term called as Jantavaha or krimis, which are being explained in this Rasaratna Samuchaya. The other benefit what you have by giving Tamra is Urdhva and Adha Shodhana. This is one such a drug which is Ubhayato Bhagahara, or it does a Shodhana from both the sides. It does a Shodhana from both the sides. It is Urdhva Adha Parishodhanam. This is the term which is being explained in the textbook. Urdhva Adha Parishodhanam. It is going to remove the doshas from both the sides. It is definitely going to benefit your patient a lot by doing Urdhva and Adha Shodhanam. So this is a reason in any of the Vamana and Virechana, whatever you do in Panchakarma practice, whenever you have Vamana and Virechana being conducted in the patient, I try to give Tamra Bhasma to the patient in Samsarjana Krama. I don't wait till the patient completes his Samsarjana and then start with the drug. No, I never do. Why there is no therapeutic protocol to be given in Samsarjana Krama in a norm or in general is for the reason the Agni of the patient is not set right because of the Shodhana Karma. You have done some Shodhana, you have done some Vamana or Virechana. The Agni, the Jataragni is not set right. Still it is yet to set right. That is the reason why you have a sort of a beautiful Samsarjana Krama being indicated as per the textbook. That is wonderful. But I need not worry much about in case if it is a Rasaushadhi. Why? Why I should not worry for the Rasaushadhi? Why so exception for the Rasaushadhis? Just because of the reason, what is that you are doing in Samsarjana Krama? You are addressing the doshas. Wonderful. Rasaushadhi does that. And added to that, what else you need to worry? You are worried there about the Agni of the patient. You are worried there about the Agni of the patient because before Samsarjana, the Agni is being altered in Vamana or Virechana, which is supposed to set right. Only then you are supposed to give him the medicine so that it will digest. But here for me, that's not a problem. Agni Tattva is an inbuilt quality of almost all the Bhasmas because you have given so much of Putas. By giving so much of Puta, the Agni Sannikarsha, whatever is being done all these days in the name of Puta, would have increased the qualities of Agni Tattva in all the Bhasmas. So, they themselves are Agni Swarupa. Most of the Bhasmas, which wherever you have given the Putas, are themselves called as Agni Tattvas. So being that Agni Guna, they themselves are having either it is mild, moderate or severe. They themselves are Agni Guna. They themselves having that Agni Guna in them. So they will protect your Agni. They will protect, enhance, they will generate Agni in case if it is essential. And it doesn't need much of your body energy to assimilate. Say for example, I want to give one Phala Pramana because as a Rasayana, as one Phala Pramana of Chavanaprash, which is a therapeutic dosage or to a person, it might need lots of his Agni to digest it. It might need lots of his Agni to digest it. Even though I don't want to give him that one Phala Pramana, say I want to give him even some 5 or 10 grams of Chavanaprash to a patient, I need to consider his Agni. I cannot give Chavanaprash to a person who has Mandagni, because this might further reduce the Agni. That might, because it's heavy for digestion. You have added so much of Gruta, you have added so. Once it assimilates in the body, then definitely Chavanaprash is going to do normal Agni. It is going to do Deepan Pachan. That is wonderful. That is wonderful. But for the process of digestion, it needs Agni, a minimum amount of Agni in the body. That minimum Agni also is problematic in the patients, especially in the Samsarjana Krama. Especially in the Samsarjana Krama. One thing. Second thing, where you don't have Agni, say for the patient, the condition of the patient is so pathetic that he is on his deathbed. He is in ICU. He is in a coma. He is on so many medicines and is nil by mouth. He is being just put up on drips or anything like that. You cannot expect him to take some 20 grams or 40 grams or 48 grams of Chyawanprash. It's not possible there. So there, I need not worry about his concept of Agni or his capacity of digestion in case if it is with that of Tamra Bhasma or any of the Bhasmas. Because what is the dosage you are giving? It is 32 milligram or 62 milligrams. It's very, very small dosage what you're giving. Even though you give 125 milligram, it's not going to alter his Agni. It's not going to cause further Mandagni. It's not difficult for digestion. You have given some 50 or 100 putas to that. By that, it itself has turned as almost a total assimilable substance. You have converted a Nirendriya Padartha into Sendriyatva. You have converted a heterogeneous substance into a homogeneous substance. The assimilation is much faster. It is much easier with that of the Bhasmas because you have processed it for n number of times. So the assimilation is much easier, which makes a quick response in a patient, and that is definitely going to save your patient's life. It's definitely going to make some advantage. It is definitely going to give you some benefits. So these are a few of the advantages of how you are supposed to take with that of the Tamra Bhasma, and because it is having Urdhva Adha Shodhana. Say for example, you have given some amount of Ghrutapana to the person for Shodhana, and after Ghrutapana, you were expecting Samyak Virechana or Samyak Vamya Lakshanas in the patient. Due to some reason, he could not have total expulsion of the doshas. Total classical presentation of Vamana and Virechana was not appreciated. Say, this is an example. Then you have some amount of that doshas in the koshta itself, because you have dragged the doshas from the shaka to the koshta in the means of the snehana and svedana. That is a purva karma of panchakarma or shodhana karma. And these doshas are still in the gut. These doshas are still in the gut because you did not achieve a total Vamana or a classical Vamana and classical Virechana. Many times you find this problem whenever into Panchakarma practice. Then in those patients, you are supposed to select these drugs like Tamra. You are supposed to select these drugs like Tamra. By giving these drugs like Tamra, it happens like what is that Avashesha dosha which has been left out in the gut is also being expelled out in some way. It is being expelled out in some way. It's not going to cause you lots of Vamana and Virechana, but the doshas become vilina. It becomes melted and it goes out in the natural passages. Might be it's in your fecal matter or some other way. It makes it waste and goes away. The person will not land up into problem. This is how you can manage the Vyapats of Vamana and Virechana as well, of that of the Shodhana Karma. So this is also an advantage how we can take with such a drugs who offer Urdhva Adha Ubhayato Bhagahara or the Shodhana Dravya as that of Tamra, which is benefited in Bodha Bhagahara, which can remove the doshas from both the means. This is one set. The another set how we are using is, you have some patient who is landed up into Garavisha. Say what is Garavisha there? Garavisha is nothing but a combination of two or more non-poisonous substances making it into a poison. So this is Garavisha, one of the basic definition. I don't want to go for high definitions there. Let it be as simple as possible while trying to understand the concept now. So whenever you have such a things, which is very commonly seen in day-to-day practice, it doesn't mean like it should be a homicidal poison like people used to do once upon a time. It could be because of the pollutants which you are exposed to today. You might land up into Garavisha. You might have taken some faulty food habits. You have taken some fast foods. You have taken some junk foods. Anything could have been converted into a Garavisha like a presentation in your gut. And this might cause some problems to you. This might cause some problems to you. So such things are also to be expelled out in the form of Vamana or Virechana, one thing, or Deepana, Pachana and Shodhana to be given for such conditions. Or the other way where you can do for those patients, I'll say some people of Garavisha which have seen are totally unfit for Shodhana. They are so weak, they are so lethargic, they don't have any Sharirika Bala. They don't have any Sharirika Bala that we can subject them for Panchakarma. Because for adopting Panchakarma, we need at least some minimum strength in an individual. So here the patient doesn't have even that minimum strength. He doesn't have that minimum strength. Then conducting Shodhana in those patients is really tough. It is highly challenging to conduct Shodhana in such patients. You do have such tendencies when you are into your clinical practice. You do have such tendencies in your clinical practice. And whenever you have such patients, you can definitely perform them with the Shodhana in the form of Urdhva or Adha by giving these drugs like Tamra. You need not give Snehana, you need not give Svedana just because of the reason this is having Snigdha Guna, this is having Ushna Guna, which is something like Vichitra Pratyarabdha or whatever you want to name it. It is totally atypical presentation of drug which is a boon in the form of a Rasaushadhi for us. So it will definitely show you lots of impact whenever you are into Panchakarma practice. You have such vishas, most of the pollutants. The patient will never come to you naming like, sir, I'm having Garavisha. He tells you some clinical pathologies. He's having some skin rash. Some people are having something like Amavata. Some people present it in the form of Shwasa, Kasa, whatever might it be. Then you can administer these drugs which could have removed the Amatva. One such drug is Tamra. The another drug which you have is the Swarna. So these two are the drugs of prime protocol which can be given in such Visha conditions. There are many drugs like Vishagna. We'll be going through them eventually. We will definitely go through them eventually. Presently we are discussing Tamra. That is the reason why I am trying to express you people with the importance of Tamra. So this is also another view where Urdhva and Adha Shodhana, whenever we speak about. And also he explains specifically about Shodhana and Visha. See the beauty of it. He is going to remove the Visha. This drug is going to remove the Visha. What is Visha? Anything which irritates you is called as Visha. It is which is giving a disappeasement. It is giving you a sort of a discomfort. It is giving a sort of a discomfort. Today people come to you with allergic rhinitis, people come to you with allergic bronchitis, people come to you with contact dermatitis, any of such presentations wherever it is because of some toxin. Patient comes to you with gut disturbance because he has taken the food outside and it has caused him some problem. Even though the people take a faulty food behaviors, people who are being adopted to take a wrong diets. So all these people land up into Vishas. It is going to convert into Visha. And these Vishas are being very well addressed by taking such drugs called as the Tamra Basma. This is definitely for sure you can appreciate it in your clinical practice. Whenever you have such patients where you suspect any of the allergic conditions, any of such complications, you can definitely give them with Tamra Basma. And this is the reason why Arogyavardhini has got a multifaceted wing, because Tamra Basma is an essential component of Arogyavardhini. Because we were discussing on the chapter of Arogyavardhini and there we have entered into the Tamra Basma analysis. So on that grounds I am trying to express you this is a reason because why Tamra is being included into Arogyavardhini, and that is the reason why Arogyavardhini is having so multifaceted clinical protocol, and that is the reason why it can be used in so many clinical conditions. I will say you don't know any drug, then also most of the times you can give it Arogyavardhini because it is going to act in a multiple faceted way. The next thing which is going to see in the Falashruti is the Ekrut. It is also given in the Ekrut disorders or the disorders of the liver, definitely because it's a metabolic factory of the body and it is definitely to be addressed well. And I'll say once he speaks about the metabolism or once he speaks about any of the Ushnata or any such compositions where it is rectifying so many metabolic activities, this is one such a drug which acts tremendously on all endocrine systems. Of course, Ekrut is one among them where it acts at a very highlighting area. That's the reason why the body ceruloplasmins is been framed and it is accumulated and it is stored and it is everything related to ceruloplasmin is from the liver. And by giving copper, the enzyme which is being stimulated in the body is the ceruloplasmin. The one which is being produced or metabolized is the ceruloplasmins. And that is going to definitely have a wide spectrum of therapeutics, which we'll be discussing in detail whenever we discuss about the Ekrut Vyadis eventually later. The next thing what he explains is about the Staulyapaham. See the way how we have discussed already. The same thing is the Staulya. It is definitely a drug of choice in Staulya. For the reasons the drug as I told you, the Santarpanotha Vyadhi is because of its Ruksha Guna. This is one such thing which is having Ushna Guna. The one which is having Tikta Kashaya Rasa. So because of all these qualities, it is definitely given in, and it is also Amapachaka. So in all these things, and it is Rasayana, which is definitely a line of treatment in Staulya. Whenever I speak of Staulya, it doesn't mean like the person who has done some Adhyashana or Atyashana and he's landed up into a regular obesity because of consumption of excess of food and landed up into obesity. Only those patients are to be taken in Staulya. Any clinical pathologies which fits into the protocol of Staulya can be taken. I do definitely administer lots and lots and lots of Tamrabhasma in the people with the thyroid pathologies, because the people do have a tendency of gain in weight. I find the Staulya Lakshanas there. I find Staulya Lakshanas in the people suffering from PCOD like conditions, hormonal alterations in the body. I do prescribe them with lots of Tamrabhasma in the patient. Any such clinical pathologies, wherever you find the Staulya as a presentation, then definitely a Tamrabhasma is a drug of choice. You don't have Tamrabhasma, then you can go for Arogyavardhini. We can go for Arogyavardhini. This is the reason why people ask me, sir, it is a case of PCOD, why do you prescribe Arogyavardhini? The person is not suffering from hepatic illness. The person is not having icterus. The person doesn't have hepatitis. Jaundice, what you name in the general language. The person doesn't have any of such illnesses. Then why are you prescribing Arogyavardhini? So this is the problem what we have in Ayurveda. We are not supposed to take paracetamol as antipyretic. This is very true in contemporary sciences. But for Ayurvedicians, it's not like that. For Ayurvedic people, it is entirely different protocol. It is entirely different protocol. For me, something called as Jwara can be treated with Mrutyunjaya Rasa for a set of patients, Tribhuna Kirti with set of patients. I need to give Jwarantakras for a set of patients. I give Amruta Rishta for a set of patients. It doesn't mean like any student who sits under me should always prescribe only Mrutyunjaya Rasa as antipyretic. No, never. So our way of understanding is entirely different. Similarly, whenever I have case of Staulya, it could be because of PCOD, it could be because of something else. And based on that, we need to administer them with either of the conditions. And added to that, the next word which you have in the shloka is Kshut Karam. It is going to increase the kshuddha in the patient. It is going to increase an appetite. It is going to increase an appetite in the patient. That is a normal appetite, not a abnormal appetite. It is not going to increase the abnormal appetite. A normal appetite is being built up by building up the appetite or building up a sort of a kshuddha in the patient. It's kshut karam. It doesn't mean like he is going to abnormally grow. He is not like he is going to have abnormal conditions. And instead, you are supposed to understand it in either of the conditions. The person is going to have a normal appetite. The person is going to have a normal appetite. And many people do have a loss of appetite. Many people do have in clinical pathologies, like the appetite is being altered. They find something like, because it's time, I eat food. It's not like because I'm hungry and I need food. No, it is time, so I need to take food. One thing. Second thing, I eat food, but it is not digested. I find it is always full. Might be it's a condition like Admana or Atopa or any such thing. There are many clinical conditions of those kinds which are related to the gut pathologies. So in all those conditions, again it could be because of the three doshas. It could be because of Vata, because of Pitta or because of Kapha, either of the ways. So in all those conditions, this is one such a drug which we have already discussed. Tamra is one such a drug which can handle all the three doshas, which can control all the three doshas. And this is the benefit what you can find with the administration of Tamra. So this is about the Kshudkaram. Durnama, again, yes, it is given in hemorrhoids. It can be given in various disorders. It also can be given in the disorders like Pandu. Again, I told, we have discussed about this. It can be given in Pandu. Hemocrit value, it is hemopietic system. It has been altered. It has been altered. It is definitely going to give a lots of significance by altering the hemocrit value. Once when you have the copper metabolism, in case you try to understand, in the copper metabolism, he explains about the way how the ceruloplasmin will influence the formation of erythropoietin and norerythropoietin, which are the precursors for the RBC. And of course, whether you take it in that sense or not, because in Ayurveda, it is definitely having a sort of an increase or a regulation of the Agni, including the Dhatu Agni. And this is one such a drug which is acting on the moola of the Raktavashrotas, that is Yakrut. He is literally mentioned the term called as Yakrut. Yakrut is the moola of the rasa and Raktavashrotas, especially the Raktavashrotas. And whenever you have the moola is being treated, the whole shaka or the whole shrotas is being repaired. So a drug like Tamra, which is repairing or normalizing the Yakrut, is a tend to have a normalcy in the whole of the shrotas of Raktavaha. Because Raktavaha shrotasam moolam, one of the moola is the Yakrut. One of the moola is the Yakrut, and it is definitely going to have its impact on the Rakta. It is going to have its impact on the Rakta. And you are supposed to prescribe, once it is said as the Yakrut, you can prescribe it in all the conditions of the Rasa and Raktavaha Shroto Vyadis. You have a clinical path, because the whole Shaka, the Moola is being treated, in the sense the whole Shaka or the whole Shrotas is being repaired. You have n number of disorders enumerated in the textbook in related to the Raktavaha Shrotas. All those disorders can be addressed well. Even though the person is having Kushta, the person is having something else, even then the person can be prescribed with this particular combination of Tamrabhasma. And that is the reason why we are supposed to give this drug with a wide spectrum. It is going to be given in a wide spectrum. Added to that, you have two more features which are being explained there. One is a Netram, one more is a Lekhanam. Netram, in the sense, Netram is one such a thing which is going to increase the visual impact or the sight of an individual. It is good for the eye, it is good for the ophthalmic conditions, or it is good in various clinical pathologies related to the eye. That is the reason why the word called as Netram is being indicated. Or it could be because of some of the reasons, like you have the sensory features, you have the sensation. It is one of the Indriya. Netra is one of the Indriya. So in any disorders of the Indriyas, the drug like Tamra can be prescribed. The drug like Tamra can be prescribed. The next thing what you have is a Lekhanam. Lekhanam, again, yes, definitely you have a wide spectrum for Lekhanam. There are many things which we need to discuss for the Lekhanam, because it's going to benefit in Staulya, it is going to benefit in Medha Vruddhi especially. It is going to give the excellent response in the Santarpanotya Vyadis, as you see in case of Prameha, Madhumeha, or anything of those kinds. On that grounds, this word Lekhanam, what you have, it is going to address n number of disorders in your clinical practice, because Tamra is one such a drug which is going to benefit. And because of this property, I would like to prescribe Tamra Bhasma or the drugs like Arogyavardhini in the clinical presentations as that of Prameha, clinical conditions as that of Prameha. People ask, why are you giving Arogyavardhini for a Prameha patient? Is a patient of liver pathology? No, is not a case of liver pathology. I definitely would like to prescribe him because of this Lekhana property. There is some alteration in his Agni in Prameha. There is an alteration in all the dhatus being vitiated. There is a problem in his body in respect to the three doshas in his body with the Pradhanaja, Kaphaja, because it is Prameha. Medho Shrotas is also been affected there. Again, you need to address the condition. And one more thing is, this is one such a drug which we have discussed in excellent in case of the Raktava Shrotas, because the Moola is liver. And one more thing is the Utpadana of the kidneys, the modern kidneys, what you speak about in the anatomy. One of the Utpadana of the kidney during the genesis is because of the blood. As per Ayurveda, the fena of the Rakta converted to the Vrukka. So in Prameha, the tendency of the person to land up into complications, because Prameha is being taken as at least 18 or 19 Pramehas are being taken as the disorders of something else. Only Madhumeha is the diabetes what we take. Only Madhumeha is the diabetes what we take. The rest of the things could be or could not be. So that is the reason why, because they are more related to the nephrology department. They are most related to the disorders of the kidney. They are related to the disorders of the kidney. So either the way, whenever you have the involvement of the vrukka, you have the involvement of liver, you have the involvement of the sensory organs, you have the involvement of the rasa and raktava shrotas or the pranava shrotas, or anything of those kinds related to the endocrine system, related to that of hepatic pathologies or splenic pathologies, you are supposed to prescribe this Tamrabhasma. You are supposed to prescribe this Tamrabhasma. And this is a Falashruti, what he is trying to ask us to understand in shloka number 63, Rasaratna Samuchaya, 5th chapter. So we have tried to discuss with only 2 lines of this shloka of Rasaratna Samuchaya, 5th chapter. And there are many things which we need to analyze. Possibly some 10 years is sufficient, or even it could be more to analyze the whole Rasaratna Samuchaya. But we'll try to see what best we can cover with the stipulated time, whatever we have. This is one thing which I would like to come to your information, especially with that of Tamrabhasma. The next thing is we'll be discussing about the importance of a Somanyatya Tamrabhasma in the next presentation.